Halloween Ends is directed by David Gordon Green and stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Andy Matichik, and Rowan Campbell. With Michael Myers having disappeared for 4 years, the town of Haddonfield turns against one another upon the return of the Shape himself. I love the first Halloween film. In my opinion, it is one of the best horror movies, if not possibly the best horror movie ever made. And I have a somewhat personal connection to this film because this was the first horror movie that I can remember watching, loving, being scared by it, but wanting to come back to it. When the 2018 Halloween came out, I thought it was really good, and originally I really loved it. But I won't lie, the more that I watch it since then, and the more that I let it sit with me, the less good it gets. I still don't think it's bad, but it's not as great as I remember it being. Halloween Kills, I will admit, even though it's fine to watch and somewhat entertaining, I won't lie, this was the first disappointment of this new 4-movie franchise that Halloween has given us. It's not bad, and there are a lot of good kills in it, but I think tone-wise, it's really all over the place, and it uses the excuse that it's a bridge movie way too much. Although, to be fair, in hindsight, rewatching that movie in preparation for Halloween Ends, I'm more lenient towards it in my memory of it, because now having seen Halloween Ends, this might be the worst that the Halloween franchise has been in a while. I was honestly crushed by how terrible I thought this movie was. This might be the most disappointing movie for me that I've seen all year. Are there good things? Yeah, there are, but not many. The first highlight that I should probably say is that the acting is not half bad. I don't think anyone gives a fantastic performance, but everyone does a really good job in this movie. Jamie Lee Curtis is just always fun to see in a Halloween film, but even then, I think my favorite performance might go to Rowan Campbell as this new character in this film. I honestly really liked the character that Campbell was playing at first, and the way that he acted as him, and the way that he added this really beaten down quality to the character really made you feel very sympathetic for this guy. And I will admit that the commentary that this movie has and the themes that it has, mainly about grief, I actually found very interesting at times. It not only shows us the multiple different ways that many people act upon grief, but it also shows the outside perspective on that process, and how most people who aren't even involved in the tragedy itself often have even more animalistic thoughts than the people who were involved in it. That stuff I actually found very interesting, and if the movie expanded on those ideas, I think I would have liked this movie at the very least a tad more. But as it stands, God. Okay, so let's go bit by bit about why I really didn't like this movie, starting with the fact that Michael Myers isn't really in the movie. He shows up like once or twice throughout the first 2/3 of the movie, and when he finally does show up in the last third, all of the scariness, all of the creepiness and uneasiness that Michael Myers is so known for has pretty much just been tainted throughout the entire film. Anytime that we see Michael in this film, he is pathetic. I mean, yeah, at this point he is what, an 80-year-old man, a 70-year-old man, so obviously he's going to be very weak. But this is Michael Myers we're talking about, one of the most iconic horror movie villains of all time. And in this movie, he's constantly being beaten down by literally every single person that is on screen with him. So yeah, Michael isn't in much of the movie, but the first 2/3 that he isn't in it, at least it is interesting, right? No, it's not. For the first 2/3 of the film, we follow Rowan Campbell's character, and even though, like I said before, I liked his character at first, the more we see of him, the more annoyed I get by his storyline with Michael. Instead of this 50-year-in-the-making showdown that we were all promised, instead throughout most of the movie, we get this YA novel-feeling romance with Campbell's character and the character of Laurie Strode's granddaughter. And I'm sorry, I did not come to Halloween Ends to see a romance with Laurie Strode's granddaughter and this new character who has never been built up in the previous films. It's just so dull and boring, and throughout those first 2/3, it never feels like a Halloween movie. It just feels like a completely different horror movie than what we have gotten throughout the past 50 years. And even the scares and kills in this movie are just so lame. Every single scare that is in this movie isn't just a jump scare, it's a fake out jump scare. And the worst type of fake out jump scares that there are. Like a character will turn a corner, run into another character, and they'll just be scared by each other. But that's not all. Every single time that happens, the music has to go at the loudest that it possibly can. Chun! And all of the kills in this movie, with the exception of like 1 or 2, are so basic and boring, and even then, there aren't that many kills in the movie. For the most part, it's very spread out throughout the film, and even though that could work if the movie was scary, I already said it wasn't, and all the scares that are in this are fake out jump scares that are so obnoxious. The original Halloween is one of the pioneers of the slasher movie genre, and all this movie seemingly wants to do is piss on that reputation. The amount of contempt that I have for this movie goes into spoiler territory, so I will stop right there and just end this review by saying, God, I hate this movie. I will give credit where credit is due. The acting is pretty good across the board, and the commentary and themes are interesting, but the threat of Myers is never there. The kills are boring, the quote-unquote scares are obnoxious, and it almost never felt like a Halloween film. Maybe if the entire movie was the first 2/3 of the film, and it even wasn't a Halloween movie and it was a separate horror movie on its own, maybe I would have been way more lenient on it. But because it is a Halloween movie, and going off of that, Halloween Ends, the end of the entire Halloween franchise, so they say, it's just so disappointing. I'm going to give Halloween Ends an F+. Are there good things in the movie? Sure. Is it worth it? Hell no. Well guys, thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comments down below, what is your favorite Halloween film that is not the original? Personally, I've never really loved any of the Halloween sequels, but for my money's worth, the producer's cut of The Curse of Michael Myers isn't bad, and I do enjoy watching it every time to time. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are the best, and don't forget to click subscribe and click the bell icon down below to stay up to date on all things movie, all things TV, all things nerd.